What's up, everybody? I'm back for another live duo beer review, baby. And today I'm once again joined by someone who is pretty familiar at this point on the channel. That is none other than my buddy Todd. Todd, what's going on, baby?
How you doing, Joe? Long time no speak.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've been flaking out of the beer. Yeah, Beer Flow show hasn't been happening. Soon. It's been like 3 weeks, but soon. Anyway, Todd is joining me today for what is day 5 of the 10 Days of Pumpkin here on the channel. And the beer we're reviewing today comes from the St. Louis Brewery, and they're out of St. Louis, Missouri. And it is the Schlafly Pumpkin Ale. So this is what I'm calling, they don't call it, but it's an Imperial Pumpkin Ale because it comes in at 8% alcohol by volume, 16 IBUs. And at the time of review, our bottles are very similar in date. Mine is approximately 3 months old, and Todd's is just under 3 months old. There's like a 9-day difference on the bottled on date. So not the freshest, but again, these beers are released in late July, early August, and no one's drinking pumpkin beers, at least that I know of at that time. On the label, it says ale brewed with pumpkin and with spices added, and they say cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove are those spices. And at the top here, they say it blends the spices of the harvest with a full-bodied sweetness for a beer that tastes like pumpkin pie. Yeah, we'll see about that. So, funny story, Todd was actually going to send me this beer because I don't get Schlafly in the Western New York area. He actually picked up a couple bottles. But then a couple weeks after that, I was in Rochester, New York, and I found one. So you didn't have to send one to me. I do appreciate, Todd, that you were going to send me one. So I do appreciate it. But now he has to drink 2 of them. I mean, that's a tough job, is it?
Damn the luck.
So anyway, we're going to crack this open and give it a pour. So as we do that, Todd, what is your experience or history with Schlafly?
So I've had this beer many a times, probably, I'd say almost every year since I've really started drinking craft beers. Probably 2011-ish, 2010-ish, I guess, maybe. It's kind of one I look forward to, but I do, like I was telling you before we started, it's not one I always pick up every year because one of our local bottle shops does a pumpkin ale Oktoberfest type sampling at the bottle shop. So I usually get it there and, pretty much have a bottle of it while at the sampling because I'll just go back to it and get multiple. So it's, if not my favorite, it's at least top 2 or 3 for me as far as the style goes for pumpkin ales, Oktoberfest type beers. So hoping you'll enjoy it. I know it gets a lot of hype as far as for the style goes. So I'm anxious to see how you like it.
You're setting me up for disappointment.
But I like it. I dig it. It's one of my favorites for this style.
You're just setting me up for disappointment. That's all you're doing.
Probably so.
So for me, I've never had this beer before. The two pumpkin ales that I would say are kind of like on my bucket list of beers would be the beer I reviewed yesterday, Whole Hog Pumpkin Ale from Stevens Point Brewery, and this one. Don't get distribution of either of them in my area. And I've heard about both of these like 6-7 years ago. And I don't really seek out pumpkin beers. So it's not like, even though they're on my bucket list, it's not like I'm going to start trading from them and going crazy. But I did see the Whole Hog in Erie, PA, and I picked up a bottle. And again, I saw this one in Rochester, New York. And Todd was going to send it to me. He was like, hey, I can easily get that. You seem kind of flabbergasted that I couldn't get Schlafly in my area. Like, what do you mean you don't get Schlafly? I'm like, yeah, we don't get it in the Western New York. We do get it in New York State, downstate, usually around New York City and like the Hudson Valley and stuff, but not here.
It's funny you get like perennial from the same area, but you don't get Schlafly. I get Schlafly, but can't get perennial. It's just weird. Distribution's just silly like that.
It very much so is. Color on this one. This one has like a very deep. I want to say that's like almost like has like a mahogany tinge to it. Now onto my camera, it's a bit darker than in person. That almost comes off as like a muddy brown on the camera, but like in person, this is like a deep mahogany. It has like red tinges to it.
Yeah, slightly reddish colored. The head on it dissipated very quickly. You still got a little bit left.
Yeah, but it's
completely gone.
Yeah, mine did as well. I mean, it was like about a finger and a half, and it dissipated. But yeah, it's like a light tan head. It plays the role of a pumpkin beer. It's got a nose on it. Yeah, that smells fucking pretty fantastic, honestly. Now, the one thing I will say, because they mentioned, again, cinnamon, nutmeg, clove for me is real big in this one. And they don't say ginger, but I'm also getting like a ginger note too. Most of the pumpkin beers I've done so far has usually been nutmeg, cinnamon, and allspice, and like if they added vanilla. But this one's like huge on the clove and ginger for me. How about you?
I'm picking up a lot of the cinnamon in this one, but I'm also getting, a lot of the a lot of the spice flavoring and aroma to it also. Maybe that ginger coming through. Maybe that's probably a little bit what I'm picking up too, a little bit.
It definitely smells like the whole hog I did yesterday and like the night owl from Elysian I did. It smells like pumpkin pie filling. That's what it smells like. If you had a pumpkin pie sans the Cool Whip and just forget the graham cracker crust, just like the pie, you're just scooping out the pie filling, kind of has that aroma to it.
For sure, yeah.
It smells sweet.
It smells sweet. Definitely getting the nutmeg out of it also, for sure.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little bit more sweetness too. Maybe, like you said, let's touch on the nutmeg too, and maybe even a little bit of like the cinnamon. Cinnamon's bigger for you as more ginger clove, but I'm starting to get more of like a caramelized sugar, like a brown sugar, like maybe a bit of caramel too as well.
How long did you have yours sitting out before you popped the top on?
About 40, 45 minutes or so.
Oh, okay. So yours is closer to room temperature than mine. So yeah. I had mine sitting out for about 20 minutes. So we should get a little bit
slight
profile
difference.
probably, yeah.
It smells pretty good though. So before we taste it, we're going to read the comments if there are any. And we have Eric Gilbert says, cheers. What's up, Eric?
Cheers, Eric.
Drunken One says, Joe and Todd. And then Craig, because Craig from Kent Beer Reviews here, says, hey guys, what's up, Drunken One and Kent? Oh, sorry, Craig.
What's up, guys? Yeah. Early night for Craig.
Yeah, why?
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
2 o'clock.
Yeah, 2 o'clock. He'll be on to 4. Then we also have Rod shows up and says, sup, brothers? What's up, Rod?
What's up, Rod?
And then they all exchange pleasantries, and that's really the extent of the conversation. So anyway, let's get into it, Todd. Cheers, and cheers to everybody in the comment section.
Cheers.
That's delicious. It's fucking so delicious. Now this is way different than the ones I've had this week. I'm gonna go back for a sip, but it has a different. I don't know if it's the ABV or if it's because they are using clove in here, but I'm getting a vastly different profile than the base pumpkin beers that I've had so far this week.
I'm getting a lot of the cinnamon coming through on mine.
Yep, the cinnamon. I'm getting cinnamon and clove. I'm also getting this like, I don't know, like this very heavy confectionery, almost burnt sugar profile that's really, really nice.
Yeah, it's definitely got some sweetness to it for sure.
Yeah, I think the 8% bigger malt bill, definitely a bit sweeter.
I wish mine was just a tad warmer. Shout out for Paul there, because he'd be disappointed that I'm drinking this at
under boiling.
50. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to take it right off the stovetop and right out of the tea kettle, right into the glass. No, mine's probably around like 55-ish, 60 maybe. It's perfect for as far as like the body in this one is really nice too. Like this is like lower side of full body. This actually has a heft behind it. So many pumpkin beers, so many Oktoberfest beers. You'll read the description and they'll say, "Oh, it's full bodied at like 5.5%." And I'm like, okay, maybe for the style it might be full body, but like as a beer goes, no. This one is approaching that. This has a very, very hefty body to it, more so than almost any other just regular pumpkin beer I've had so far.
And the alcohol, I don't know in mine, maybe if it's because it's a little colder, but it's definitely a little more present. I think a little more present than normal for some of these, for this style. I don't know. I mean, it's not overpowering. Don't get me wrong. It's not like you drink and you're like, whoa, there it is. It's not that at all. But kind of on the back end for me a little bit.
No, I could see that. I guess for me, spoiler, the review coming out Monday, I just drank a 11.3% pumpkin barley wine yesterday. So no, but this has a little, like a touch of warmer going down, more so than any of the other ones that I've already reviewed this week. So I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I guess my palate, because of yesterday, might be a little bit more acclimated to it. But I will say I'm getting the alcohol in the form of, just like I said, the bigger, heavier malt sweetness, and the body I think is bigger because of the alcohol content. Yeah,
almost as you said, that almost don't really get it as much in the taste as I do as it warms.
Yes,
warming sensation as it goes down,
even into the stomach. Like in the stomach, my stomach's a little warm. I'm like, oh, that's nice, which is great for the fall time because it is cooler in most areas, and that it works well. The mouth feels nice and smooth from the pumpkins. You're getting a little bit of creaminess too. It's not anything crazy. This is not a New England style IPA made with oat and lactose and everything. This just has the pumpkin in here. It's nice. But yeah, the body and mouthfeel aside, this is really nice. This is like pumpkin pie filling. I'm not getting as many nuances of like a whipped cream or a graham cracker crust that like Pumpkin has, or the beer I did yesterday, Whole Hog, has. But this is more of straight on pumpkin pie filling. But I like the uniqueness of it. I'm speaking from myself, somebody who's already drank a half dozen pumpkin beers in a row and comparing them. The clove for me really is a bit more prominent, and it just adds a uniqueness that I didn't get in the other ones.
Yeah, I always kind of think that's kind of what sets it apart a little bit from your others, which I think maybe elevates it just a little bit higher flavor profile to it for me that I find with this one that you don't get on a lot of the other pumpkin ale type beers. I'm picking up some vanilla in this one a little bit. Are you getting that too as well, or no?
I got it in the aroma a little bit more. In the taste, I'm not getting the vanilla as much. Maybe a little hints of it. It's just for me more pumpkin pie filling than really anything else, honestly. But if you're getting the vanilla, man, I wish I was, because that's I mean that's where it you cross the line of pumpkin pie filling into straight on pumpkin pie when you start adding the vanilla and like the graham cracker. Then you're like, okay, it's like an actual slice of pumpkin pie in a glass. This one is just more of the filling for me.
Almost has more of a taste for me as like a pumpkin roll. The roll like pumpkin cake with like the cream cheese filling in it where it's cold, and it almost kind of has that vibe to it.
That's a very good analogy. If you want to get away from just straight pumpkin pie, pumpkin rolls, and those are fantastic as well, no doubt.
Yeah.
Good call. No, it's going down easy too. Like this, the thing about this is it's not overly sweet. It is sweet, don't get me wrong, but I think the clove for me and the cinnamon is adding a nice drying component to the back of the palate. So it's sweet, but it kind of cuts it and balances it out a little bit more. Like I could drink a couple bottles of this. I really could. Yeah. I'd be feeling good, but I could drink a couple. Where there's a lot of pumpkin beers, I'm like one and done. The sweetness is a bit too much, a bit overbearing at times.
And at 8%, like you said, it's easy, super easy drinking.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it almost drinks more like a 5 or less percent alcohol, ABV. It doesn't really seem like an 8%.
If it wasn't
a little bit of the warming sensation you get once it goes down.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If it wasn't for the warming sensation, I would peg this around like 6%. Honestly, it would. But you can feel it in the stomach. But I'm glad that's not on the palate. I think if it was on the palate, it'd be distracting. But yeah, it's going down. It warms you up, which I think. Again, this is an imperial pumpkin ale, even though they don't say it. It's 8%. It is. It totally is. Don't be bullshit, Schlafly. It's imperial. I think I welcome it anyway because it lets you know it's a slightly bigger beer and it's in the fall time. It's cooler. It's warming you up. I think it's appropriate.
Yeah, as you were saying, winter warmer type thing. So it is nice. I mean, this would be one you could sip around like a fire pit, kind of warm you up on a nice chilly night, and and do you just fine after you drink 3 or 4 of them.
Just drink a 6-pack of them. No big deal. We'll go to the comments and then we'll give our final thoughts. Rod says, think I got cut from the team, LOL. Now, Rod, I was actually thinking about adding you on, but I couldn't remember if you could get Schlafly. I should have asked, but we'll get you on. I mean, we'll get you on, Rod. We'll be doing all kinds of dual beer reviews, baby, all kinds. But yeah, not cut from the team, just not yet, Rod. Give it time. Craig says, is it pumpkin extract? It is, as far as I know, actual pumpkins. Now, the thing when it comes to American pumpkin beers, most of them use like pumpkin in a can because fresh pumpkin harvest usually doesn't happen to September into October, even like late August. And most of these beers are already released in like the middle of July to late July. So I highly doubt they're using real pumpkin.
Unless they're freezing a shit ton of it from last year. And
and I didn't mean not. I highly doubt they're using real pumpkin. I meant to say that highly skeptical that they're using fresh pumpkins. There definitely can, but there is real pumpkin. It's not pumpkin extract. But again, when it comes to pumpkin beers, and had this discussion many of times, pumpkin beers, when they use actual pumpkin, can you really taste the pumpkin? You might be able to slightly, like a slight earthiness. You might be able to smell and taste it. Really, what pumpkin adds to pumpkin beers is the body and the mouthfeel, a little bit of creaminess. Because if you put the pumpkin into the mash and everything, it's gonna kind of have the same effect that like oats have, or like flaked oats and wheat and lactose. Just gonna a little bit creamier, a little bit of a heftier body. That's what it usually adds. Not saying you can't taste it or smell it. Just saying it's very rare for it to show up. It's mostly about the pumpkin spices. Rod says so Eric Gilbert says, I got myself a can of pumpkin pie filling and going to add peated scotch to it. Now that's a drink. Well,
there you
go. there you go. I mean, you don't like pumpkin beers, Eric, and fair play, good sir. But yeah, that might be at least a more interesting night of drinking. You get a couple of those glasses going, you'd be feeling good. Rod says, had this one back in 2015. Think you two definitely dig it more than me, though. Yeah, I'm digging on this one. No more comments, so I guess we'll just go into final thoughts. Rating out of 5, Todd, like we always do, and what's your final thoughts on it?
I mean, I score this one a 4.25 probably all day long. It's like I said, it's probably my favorite, at least 2 or 3. If Southern Tier Pumpkin or some of those are great, and I dig those too. But as far as pumpkin ales go, the Schlafly, I always look forward to it every year. I do enjoy it, and like you said, it's one I could drink multiples of. I mean, I'm probably not going to go out and stand in line to search for it or anything, but when it hits the shelves, I'm always kind of excited to get it because it is one of those that does tend to change just a little bit from year to year.
Yeah,
that lets you know that hey, this is not something that's a macro brewed type thing or whatever. So
yeah, it's not mass produced. They don't have like that's the thing about craft beer. A lot of people see that as a positive or a negative. A positive as in I want my beer to be consistent every time, but when these seasonal get released, I look forward to the like slight nuances and changes of those beers from a year to year basis. So I totally get what you're saying with that, and I'm right with you with the rating. I'd give this a solid 4.25 out of 5 as well. I've had the Dogfish Head, the pumpkin ale this week. I had the Night Owl from Elysian. I've had the Whole Hog Pumpkin Ale. And now I've had this one. I've obviously had pumpkin. I'm going to review it next week as well. As far as no frills pumpkin ales, which sounds really stupid and contradictory a little bit because pumpkin beers, there's a lot going on. But I'm talking a straight pumpkin beer that just has pumpkin and spices in it. This one, the Elysian Night Owl, the Whole Hog from Stevens Point, and the pumpkin, I feel like those 4 are kind of like intertwined with one another. Like it probably would depend on my mood, how my palate is year to year basis, but I think they're all very similar. Like there's slight differences between all 4 of them, but I don't think you can go wrong with any of them, honestly. This one, I think because it has a bigger alcohol content, I think works a little bit more for the fall time. Again, we're talking about the warming into the chest, into the stomach and stuff. It just warms you up. It makes you feel good. Just makes you feel good. So I really dig this one. My one critique to this beer would be they say pumpkin pie in a glass. I want the graham cracker. I want more vanilla. I want like the Whole Hog yesterday where I think I got all that. I kind of would want that in this one as well. I think pumpkin usually does a good job. I haven't had this year's, but most years you get the graham cracker crust. You get the whipped cream. I feel this one lacks that in comparison to those. Regardless, though, it's still fucking tasty.
Would you want it more full-bodied? Or you think it's fine where it is?
For 8%, I think the body's actually pretty damn decent. Like if Paul drank this and said it was a bit thin, which he would because he's Paul, I think he'd be incorrect because I think this again, the beers that I've had now, a lot of those are 6.7 to 7 and whatnot, and pumpkin's like 8 something. I think this has the best body of the 4 that I mentioned. So I do like the body of this one in the mouthfeel. I want more of a pumpkin pie, actually, slice of pumpkin pie, not just the filling. Right. That said, though, like, did it live up to the hype? I guess there's not really. I don't know if there's hype to this beer anymore because, I mean, it's been out for so long and now you got crazy beers all over the place. For my own personal hype in my head, a beer that I've always wanted to try going, 6, 7+ years ago. Yeah, I think it's lived up to it for me. I don't know. I don't think I was expecting anything more than this, honestly. So I think it kind of lived up to my expectations, and it's damn tasty. And if I can get one of these every year without any like real trouble, I'll probably pick a bottle up every year just to have.
Yeah. What'd you pay for it for a bottle?
Now, see, that's where the price is. It's going to probably be a bit different than you guys because it's here. And again, I think the owner of the bottle shop went down and paid it. It was $3.30 a bottle.
Oh, well, that's not terrible. I think I was $1.99, maybe.
Yeah. So you're probably looking if this was like legal or whatever, not legal because it was legal, but like if this get distribution Western Europe, you're probably looking at $2.50 a bottle. So I'd probably pay maybe 75 cents a buck more, which is fine for something that I can't typically get.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, that's not outrageous, for by any stretch of the imagination.
No,
compared to a lot of others out there, that are charging $7, $8, $9 for a 12-ounce bottle.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling Todd off camera before we started this. I have a review coming out on Monday that is a barrel-aged pumpkin barley wine. And it was a 22-ounce bottle, a 650 milliliter bottle, and I paid $21 for that. So, no, this is a great deal when you compare it to something like that in comparison. But that is an amazing beer, so it's a little bit different. We'll hit the comments one last time and wrap it up. We have Earth says, cheers, gentlemen. Earth, but long time, man. No comments, man. No comments on my videos. I mean, he's doing 8-hour streams on Joe D's channel. You are a busy man, Earth, but you drink a good beer, so everything's great. And Eric Gilbert says, oh, you can go wrong with all pumpkin beers. Yeah, you can. You really can. I get why people don't like pumpkin beers, though. I totally get it. If you don't like pumpkin pie, I don't see how you would really ever want to drink a pumpkin beer. Like, it makes no sense, because the vast majority of pumpkin ales and pumpkin beers, you have to like the spices that go into them, because that's what's in a pumpkin pie.
It's definitely an all or nothing category there. Either you like it or you don't.
Yeah.
I just don't see how you fall in between and be like, yeah, it's, no, you either like it or you don't.
I mean, that was going back, when I first got into craft beer and pumpkin was the rage, right? Like, that pumpkin was the beer. There'd be so many people being, it's such a polarizing beer. I'm like, not really. Here's how to break it down when it comes to pumpkin. Do you like pumpkin pie? Yes. Then you probably love pumpkin. Do you don't? No, you'll think it's gross. That's just how it goes. There's not like, oh, it's okay. It's like, no, usually it's shit or it's awesome. I mean, it just, that's how it works. And I get how people don't like pumpkin ales, though. I totally get it. For me, though, I like pumpkin pie, and I like pumpkin ale, so here we are. Then we have Raj says, it was 3 out of 5 for him on this one. That's just me, though. Rod, your palate's incredibly stupid, but it is your own palate.
Worse than ours.
Worse than ours, Rod. Terrible. No,
if that's even possible.
Yeah, no, that's now, how many years ago did you have that, Rod? Because I'd be curious to see you revisit it.
2015, is that what didn't you say that earlier?
I don't think he's oh yeah, he did 2015. So I mean, talking 3 years, your palate might have changed quite a bit back then. I'd be curious to see you. My challenge to you, Rajay, would to be go grab this beer and re-review it just for us. Just do it for your buddies. Just do it for us. We want to.
Does he get that every year? I mean, is it distroed on a regular basis?
I feel
Cincinnati or Kentucky, Rod. Answer, please.
Yes, answer it now. Craig says, cheers, buddies. Cheers, Craig. Craig, we need to get you back on here at some point for a duo, trio, quadruple review of something. Let me know, man. I know you've been off the beer and you've been getting back on it and whatnot. So let me know at some point. We got to do this. Earth says, my sincerest apologies, Joe. Will you forgive me? No, I won't, Earth. You're dead to me. Get off my channel. No, Earth. I always appreciate your comments and showing up and whatnot. I know you've been. That's why I'm so many friends with people here on Tapped and whatnot. If we don't have the back and forth on YouTube or whatever, there were weeks without people chatting and whatnot. Like me not being able to hop on the last 2 or 3 weeks. At least I can see what you're drinking through on Tapped. That's why I like it. It's a nice social app. Rod says, you know I don't do visits. LOL. You get one shot. Rod, come on, don't be like that, man. What I want you to do is take this pumpkin ale from Schlafly, and I want you to revisit it 38 times before the end of the year. Once per day, almost once per day. I'm sure you'll grow to love it. And he says, yeah, they do get it. He did not specify if it's in Kentucky or in Ohio, even though you asked. Come on, Rod. Come on. He says maybe he'll grab one for the Beer Flow show.
There you go.
And then he says, which reminds me, Joe, you are chugging malt liquor on the next show. That's what you think. And
yes.
No. Just because you guys
at that, you got to do the Four Loko Gold.
Listen, just because you guys chug malt liquor doesn't mean this guy has to. I picked the perfect week to just not be available.
Yeah, I wish I was not available that night too.
Maybe I'll get a 40 of Mickey's and drink it out of the bottle on the show at some point.
With a brown bag. You have to brown bag it.
Do I though? That seems a little bit more work than I intended.
Just for the effect, you got to do it.
Yeah, and Rod says Kentucky usually is where he sees the beer, and then Eric Gilbert says he is on tap but never use it, and that's fine, Eric. I mean, you post at least in the Beer Coalition on Facebook, so I see what you're drinking most of the time. Plus, you comment all the time. It's more for people who don't leave comments, or if I'm busy and I can't respond to comments, or they're busy, at least I can check on tap and see what they're drinking. Like Earth, for example, has been missing in action on my channel for multiple weeks, so when I see him drink something on tap, at least I know he's still going strong. He does 7-hour shows or 8-hour shows or whatever on Joe D. So good times. He says it's not. Rod's not sure if it's in Ohio, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know what Schlafly's distribution is. But I didn't think it was all that vast. I know a lot of people in Michigan can't get it. I don't think they get it in Ohio, most of the places. I've never seen it like going through Cleveland, and I've never seen it in my my neck of the woods until this year. So I don't know what their distribution is. Probably not all that wide.
Yeah, that's a never really thought about it, actually. I just assumed because I could get it, everybody gets it, but I know that's not the case. But
yeah. Well, that's funny too, because it's like Schlafly's been around. Going back, like I said, to when I got into craft beer 10 years ago, Schlafly was still around. I've heard of them. I knew of them. So you just assume like in the last 10 years, their distribution maybe got pushed forward a little bit, like so many breweries. But
do you get Boulevard there, Joe?
Yeah, we finally got Boulevard. I think a couple of years ago it started coming here. We still don't have Deschutes. Like I mentioned to you guys, we don't have Deschutes still here. Like we don't.
Yeah. It's odd that you get Boulevard, but you don't get Schlafly. Same part of the country. So and you get Perennial, but you don't get Schlafly. It's just really weird.
Get a lot of Perennial stuff now just randomly. It's fucking crazy. I don't understand what's happening. Rod says, of course, Rod getting the Rod J deal because that's what he does. He says, did get that for $12.99 a case, though, back in 2015. Rod, I'm never coming on your show ever again. And I'm certainly not drinking malt liquor. Stop. Just stop. Every time. He's paying 50 cents a bottle for this. I'm paying $3.30. You suck. And then yeah, and Craig goes, is that 24 bottles? Knowing Rod, his cases are fucking 90 bottles. Who knows? Like he gets all the deals. I don't like it.
Buy one case, get 15 free. So yeah, that's for sure. I'm
totally not jealous. I'm just jealous. Eric Gilbert says he loves Boulevard. I have a couple beers in their cellar. I picked up their Jam Band for reasons unknown. Rod just reviewed it a couple weeks ago or posted it, and I was like, I need to probably drink that at some point. But I really like their barrel aged stuff and their bigger. Well, they used to be the 750 releases they do, but now like their quad, their bourbon barrel quad is fantastic. I've had that before. It's fantastic beer, and we actually get that now in like whatever 12-ounce bottles. So definitely got to get into some Boulevard at some point. Like
both of them are solid. Schlafly and Boulevard both do solid stuff. Schlafly does really. I think they kind of excel a little bit on just the base stuff, like your standard type, IPA, stouts, whatever, porters. I mean, they've now since ventured out into a little more with their. I think they have what do they call the? They have like a hop. Box that they do every year for the last couple of years now, where they like single out one specific hop. Yeah, and that's been really good. That's been really good series.
Yeah, Eric mentions Boulevard Smokestack series, which that's a great series as well of awesome beers. I really like what Boulevard does. I saw Schlafly does a coconut cream ale that they release in the summer apparently. So Todd,
I'll look for it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe that might be like one of those deals that comes in a 12-bottle mix pack or whatnot. But if it does, I'll pick it up and I'll definitely get one to you.
That's what I'm talking about, good sir. I've had one coconut cream ale in my life, and it was a brewery about an hour from here, and it was fucking so good. It was toasted coconut and a cream ale. I don't even understand. It was amazing. Earth says Love Child, solid sour game. Yeah, I forgot what Love Child I had. This was going back 5 years ago from Boulevard. It was fantastic, no doubt. Yeah, Eric Gilbert, I was just going to mention that, and then I blanked because I'm an idiot, but he says Tank 7 is falling shelves in Ontario. Yeah, Tank 7 is an amazing farmhouse beer. Like
that's a good one. That's solid.
For me, if you talk about, if you're talking about like straight up Saison farmhouse ales, like just your classic American bred and born ones, I would say that along with Hennepin from Amagang are my two favorite. Like I just love those two beers. Really dig them. And they're basically shelf turds at this point in time in the US.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you can get them whatever. Doesn't even matter.
See them sitting around everywhere around here. I mean, either one of those really.
Yeah, I agree. He says Tank 7 is falling off shelves in Ontario, baby. Do you mean that they're actually like pulling distribution, or people are grabbing them off the shelves, or are they just breaking off the shelves? Like, what are we talking about? Anyway, I think I am about to shut this down. We've been about half an hour and we talked about 10 minutes of non-Schlafly reviews. So anybody watching this in review, if you've made it this far, then more power to you. You're a better person than I am. And to anybody here watching, I guess I can mention you all because it's easy. Eric Gilbert, Drunken One, Craig from Kemp Beer Reviews, Rod J. And I think that's it. And Earth. You guys, appreciate you guys stopping by. Both Todd and I give Schlafly's Pumpkin Ale a solid 4.25 out of 5. If you do get Schlafly in your area, you can get it. I'd highly recommend trying it out, unless you're Rod, who apparently got a case of it for 50 cents a fucking bottle and hated it. So I don't understand. But everybody else, appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you, Todd, for stopping by. We'll do more of these, and maybe we'll get a trio review going at some point, or maybe even a quad review with Eric and Rod of something we all can get and that maybe we even haven't had before or we need to revisit and do it up. But yeah,
appreciate you having me on. Enjoy it.
Yeah, you need a channel. You need a channel, Todd. It took me 5 years for people to do the exact same thing I'm doing to you and everyone else doing to you.
Pressure. So. I'm gonna break.
Yeah, 2023, Todd. Mark it on the calendars. 2023. Todd's got a channel coming. He'll no longer. He'll still be a millennial. He'll just be an older millennial.
There you go. Then you'd be no longer the worst BeerTuber out there. I'd take the reins from you easily on that one.
I don't know. You got to have a pretty shitty channel to be worse than me, because listen, I'm the worst, the absolute worst. You can ask Ewart, you can ask Greg, our buddy Greg from the Beer Analysis Show. I don't wear any uniforms to this day. He's still not happy with me. I'm doing a 10 days of pumpkin, still not wearing any uniforms. I don't even have a pumpkin on my table. Like, I am the worst. But you know what? I don't care, because fuck Greg, fuck Ewart. But I appreciate everyone else who checks on the channel. Those guys can. Anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by. Until the next one. Cheers. Should I hang up, Nick, instead of stopping the broadcast?